Post-election reflections, part 4. All right, as always, I'm offering my opinion only. I am not trying to persuade or discourage or condemn or indict or correct or redirect any of you. I'm just sharing my thoughts, my musings, my perspectives on what is the path forward and how we should be framing our thinking about all of this, especially in the DEI-ish kind of world. Okay, so we've talked about a couple of things in the first couple of videos. The first video, we did a deep dive into the attributes, like what must be true in us now and henceforth. Same thing that should have been true with us to begin with. The second thing that we talked about was just understanding a natural ebbing and flowing of life, and that there's times that life will deliver to us a extraordinarily jarring moment, a moment where we are awakened to new realities, to the existence of norms, that we have a moment to respond to in a way that will make history for us. So this is just the natural ebbing and flowing. That's what we talked about in the second video. Video number 3, I said, and you all probably hated it, but I said it anyway, don't miss this opportunity for introspection and reflection, because we got to own our part, even with all of the isms and all of the whatever and hate and however you are discerning the motivations, whatever you believe to be true about the motivations of people who did not vote in the way that maybe some of you wanted. We got to own our part. Number 4's topic, listen, it was never about 2024 or 2025 anyway. For us, with the Rare Women Collective, with Harper Slade, and I'm hoping for you because I need everybody to adopt this understanding, all roads point to 2045. It has always been and should only be about what we are doing to prepare our country for the inevitability of a blacker and brown reality by 2045. That's what this is about. I've said probably in the beginning of the first video or every video that you've ever heard me speak on, 2045 is the year where the majority of the available workforce will be Black and Hispanic. That means that the people that we have to dispatch to work, to go and make goods and produce services for our country, the majority of the available people to do that will be Black people and Hispanic people. So our country must be able to deploy the full complement of our resources so that our overall economic well-being won't be compromised. Fun side note, for those of you who may not know, my background is in employment law, human resources, and macroeconomics. So I worked for the Federal Reserve for several years, where I studied the cost of hate. How much does it cost for America to exclude and mute its own people macroeconomically? So when we know that we have the burgeoning majority of the people who will be available to both buy things and make things, both of which are core to stimulating our economy. We need people to buy stuff and to make stuff, and to invest and to spend, like all the things. Those people, the majority, have to be able to do that with fair levels of fluidity and fairly unencumbered. And so that means racism is a threat to the nation's economy. That also means that white America should be as angry with racism as Black and brown America are, because it's getting ready to really hamper us in ways that we've never, ever understood. So 2045 is where my true north, that's where all roads point to what must be true by then. And so that means that strategy and clear heads and humble hearts, thoughtful approaches, putting emotion in its proper place, that's what must inform the way we're working in this space. Social justice is good for the streets. Social justice is an effective modality and context for this work, but it's not mobilizing in corporate spaces. And it positions us to think about this work as just fixing what has happened to somebody, or feeling sorry for these poor black and brown folk, or let me just go it positions the problem differently. We are dealing with a crisis. If we cannot remediate racial inequity, racism by 2045, then America's only option is to live inside of apartheid. That's the only option. And so with that, what now must be reset in terms of how we're thinking about our approaches to this work and who gets to do this work and how we think about all Americans, all this entire country will be put in an extraordinarily compromising position if our economy is subject to the continuation of these kinds of isms, because it is de facto hampering. It impacts how we are able to own homes and invest in higher education. Which ultimately impacts GDP. It impacts our G7 footing, our geopolitical footing. All the things become much more volatile because we let this thing. Now, granted, we've only known this thing called racism. We know it well, but we let this thing kill our country. And so that's the argument that I have with my white brothers and sisters, inviting them to understand the effect that racism has on them and will continue to have on them if we are not able to eradicate this thing, which is why we can't just position white people, Christians, Republicans, or specifically white men, as the enemy to the very thing we are asking them to be a part of remediating. Like, it's crazy. All right, well, that concludes this series. My thoughts, my perspectives only. I would invite your comments. I'd love to actually see and hear your comments and your thoughts and your perspectives or reactions. Similarly, I want to invite you to be a part of the Harper Slade family, our community. We help organizations cultivate environments where all talent can thrive, and we help position you so that your employee engagement strategies and your workforce pipeline strategies can be ever more contemplating the reality of the workforce to come. You have to be able to court, retain, and fully activate people of color in your workplace and in your workforce in order to maintain your competitive footing. No one understands that as well as Harper Slade. Similarly, I'd love for women, white women who are interested in, curious about, want to know more around how to advance racial equity in their homes. How do they parent differently? How do they show up for your spouse? How you debrief the day with your spouse where race may come up? How do you talk to grandma at Thanksgiving and your family, your extended family, community members? How do you advocate for racial equity well as a white woman? If you want to learn how to do that, become a part of the Rare Woman Collective and start with our Brio subscription. That is the Becoming a Racial Equity Operative subscription. Anyway, thanks for tuning in, y'all. Would love to have you in the fold. Be blessed.